If you are new to gardening and you want to grow your own food this year, then this video is for you. Hey, I'm Nadia, and today I'm going to show you how you can grow your own food. Because if you have never tried it before, you are missing out, really. It's such an amazing hobby. Like, you get to spend time outdoors in nature, you get to eat your own locally grown organic food. It's really good for the mind, it's really good for the body, for the soul, I believe. So I'm going to show you how you can start your own garden. The first thing that you want to do is you want to find a place to put your garden. I have a raised bed here. You do not need to be growing in raised beds to grow your own food. You can grow anywhere, really. Anywhere where there's soil, you can be growing. So anywhere on your property that you want to put your garden is great. You can certainly do a bunch of research into like what are some of the characteristics about like where you should be putting your garden, but I think the most important one that you want to consider is to make sure that you have sunlight. Ideally, if you can find a spot with 6 or more hours of sunlight per day, that's great. A lot of plants are very happy with 6 or more hours of sunlight. However, if you don't, like maybe you only have an area with a couple hours of sunlight, that's okay. Usually 3 is kind of the lowest you would want to go. 3 hours of sunlight per day. So if you can get 3 hours of sunlight per day, that's okay. You're just going to be a little bit more restricted in terms of what you can grow. I have a whole other video on growing in shady areas if you want to check that out too. But like 6 hours if you can swing it. Otherwise, 3 hours of sunlight is okay too. And if you can't find anywhere with even 3 hours of sunlight, or if you don't even have a space on your property for a garden, you still have options. There are community gardens that you can grow in. There are places that you can rent. So you can actually rent a space. I didn't know about this when I was starting out. I didn't know that there was actually this concept. I've heard of allotment gardens in Europe, but I didn't know here in North America that there were options like that. But there are. If you just look around for garden space to rent or garden lots to rent or something like that, then you might be able to find somewhere in your area where you can just rent a piece of land where you can actually be growing, and they're just small. You can get lots of different sizes, so that's certainly an option for you if you don't have a space to grow. But ideally, if you can find somewhere on your own property, that's perfect. Now that you've decided on the place that you want to grow, I recommend getting yourself some soil, and this is a bag of what's called triple mix, and triple mix is a blend of couple different types of soil, so like compost, topsoil, and peat moss usually. And it's just a really, really nice texture, a really, really nice soil to be growing your plants in. So the compost will help feed your plants, and then the other two really just make a nice texture. So it will hold on to the water. Like it's just you're gonna have better results if you use this triple mix, or sometimes it's called 3-way mix. Certainly optional step, but I'd highly recommend if you can swing it to get yourself some soil to add to your garden. You'll just usually have better results and more predictable results than if you just stuck with your native soil and you didn't really know what kind of soil you had. Next, you need to get yourself some plants. I have lots of videos on this topic if you want to check them out, but I ultimately just pick some plants that you like to grow. If you can, do a little research on finding plants that are going to work well in your area. Like we talked already about sunlight, so if you only have, let's say, 3 hours of sunlight, try to find plants that do well in 3 hours of sunlight. So a little bit of research ahead of time would be great, but you can certainly just wing it and see what happens as well. But get yourself some plants, and then we can start planting. First up, if you have decided to buy yourself some soil, you would want to just add it to your area right now. So before you even start planting, now you want to add the soil. And then just smooth it out. You want to ideally get the lumps out of there. You can use your hands, or you can use a tool. I'm just using a weeder for this because that's what I happen to have, but you just want to create a nice even area for yourself. And then what you want to do is you want to water the area. So even before you start planting, I recommend watering before you plant and then watering after you plant. So I'm going to water first before. And then once the water has had a chance to soak in, dig yourself a hole. And if you're wondering where you're supposed to be putting your plant, you can, on the plant label that comes with the plant, hopefully they will tell you how far apart to space your plant. This one doesn't. So sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. If they don't tell you, I do recommend you actually looking this up before you start planting. And the reason being is that all plants have like an ideal spacing. So something like basil, maybe it would take, it'll depend on the supplier, but usually it's about 6 inches apart. They want you to plant your basil plants. So they want to have a 6-inch circumference around the basil plant just so it has enough chance to grow. So it's not only the top of the plant, but also the roots underneath to have a chance to grow. So ideally, the plant label will tell you. This one does not. So I recommend that you do just look it up online ahead of time to find out how far apart you should be spacing your plants. And then go ahead and dig a hole. So you want to dig a hole a little bit bigger than the pot itself. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to squeeze the pot a little bit to take it out. And hopefully it will just come right out. If it doesn't come out, you can just tap the bottom and then oftentimes it will pop out. And then you take your plant and you stick it into the hole. You want to try to keep the surface, the top of the soil here, in line with the top of the surface, the soil in your garden. Ideally, you don't want the plant to be sitting way up here, or you don't want it sitting in like a trench. It's just not really good for watering. So try to keep it relatively in line and then just add the soil back. And then pat it down. It's okay if the plant looks a little bit sad right when you plant it. It will perk back up. And then if you want to grow any other plants beside it, you do the exact same process. This is a 6-pack, so there's actually 6 different plants in this, and I would plant it the exact same way. So I'd take each individual one of these 6 plants and I'd plant it right around the basil or wherever I wanted to. The one thing though that I recommend here is to make sure that you look at the spacing for sure, because sometimes the plant in the pot is so tiny compared to the actual eventual size of the plant. Like, you could be planting a tomato, which maybe starts off in a pot like this, or even smaller, and it needs several feet to grow well. So I would look at the recommendation from whoever you're buying your plants from to see how far apart you're supposed to be planting. Don't just take the size of the pot into consideration as like the sole determining factor for how the birds want to be in the video. Another reason why I love the garden. It's so nice to just be around nature, right? So if my tomato plant came in a pot like this, just because the pot itself is only, let's say, a couple inches wide, the tomato plant is actually going to be this wide, for example. So do look at the recommendation from the supplier. This viola, and violas are edible flowers, by the way. If you've never tried eating your own flowers, it's very cool. Take it slow, though, if you've never tried eating flowers, just to make sure that you don't react to it. And this one tells me that it needs to be spaced 8 to 10 inches apart. So I'd make sure that each of these individual plants, I'll do the same thing. I'll just squeeze it. And this one you can see has lots of roots. But this plant, this individual plant needs 8 to 10 inches of spacing. So I'd put this plant over here. I wouldn't put it right beside this plant because they will try to compete with each other. So I'll do the same thing. That one didn't come with a flower. Okay, so I have 5. And now you just need to keep caring for your plants. Gardening is a game of patience. So it could take a few weeks, it could take a few months, it could even take a few years to get your own food. It's a patience game, just like other things like parenting is a lesson in patience. I feel like gardening is definitely a lesson in patience. There's no instant gratification aside from maybe like watching the plants grow. Like it's really nice to see the progression, but it's not like you plant something and then the next day you get food out of it. Especially something like tomatoes or peppers or even like lettuce. It takes a little bit of time for that plant to grow. During that time between when you plant it to when you actually are able to eat the plant, you just need to keep taking care of it. So you want to weed it, you want to water it. If there are pests, if there's any harm that might hurt your plants, you want to protect them from that harm. And then hopefully in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, you can start to eat food out of your own garden. As you're going through it, you might have questions, certainly, and I'm sure that you'll have some questions as you're going along, especially if this is the first time that you've ever tried to have a garden. So, there's so many options to you, honestly, at this point. You can go to the library and get a book, you can Google it, you can just look on blogs, you can buy a book, you can take a course near you, there's some garden centers and things like that offer courses. There are online courses. Obviously, if you take a course, it's a little bit better because you can actually ask questions, or you can just wing it, right? You can just totally just see what happens and then learn from your experiences the following year. It's up to you. It's just based on your personality, your learning style, how you want to learn how to have a garden beyond sort of the basics. Like, how do you want to learn to care for specific plants? Or if you have a challenge with pests, what are you going to do about it? So at this point, you can kind of go through any of those options that suits your learning style. But ultimately, that's it. That's how you grow your own foods. I hope this video was helpful for you, especially if you're a new gardener and you're just getting started. If you did find it useful, I'd love it if you gave it a thumbs up. And I will see you in the next one.